Wilder vs Fury has been postponed again.
Fury's under his skin, and if you remember, Fury did this a lot of the Klitschko as well.
I'm not sure if anyone else sees it, but it looks like Spence is around 3 or 4 weight divisions above him. He looks like a giant. Yes, people, I am Savage Dan.
I'm Paulie Malignaggi.
You are watching Mouthpiece, the official boxer podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Turmeric Co. The Turmeric Co. creates great tasting turmeric shots that harness the power of natural ingredients to support individuals on their wellness journey, offering anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, energy and immunity booster benefits. Welcome back to Mouthpiece. I am Savage Dan.
I'm Paulie the Magic Man Malignaggi.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsors, the Turmeric Co. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, send us your videos, training, sparring, all of that. Let us judge you. It's obviously a boxing show, but I will never be able to get away with just going straight into boxing. We know what happened this week. Italy are the champions of Europe. Paulie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I'm still trying to be able to grab the floor and have a voice, but my voice is still a bit raspy. I've not stopped partying. I've not got much sleep, and yes, it was very enjoyable. Although it was some rocky moments, tough start. I didn't know if I believed it at first. You know, when 2 minutes in we were behind. I believe it was the fastest goal in European Cup Finals history. Actually, in the final, I thought we'd gotten off to a bad start, and with England being at home, I thought the momentum would really start to carry you guys. But Southgate went into a full defensive mode, sort of in an old school Italian manner. And that it allowed us to get back into the game. It allowed us to, kind of find our offensive rhythm and get things back into perspective. Yeah,
when you look at the game as a whole, I feel like it was the early goal may have affected England because they very quickly had something to defend and protect, and because of it,
I feel like even they probably didn't expect that. You know? So you've got to make a decision. Maybe you weren't planning on making so soon. You know.
Anyway, congratulations. Let's not even do this. We will sit here and talk about football all day. Right. But yeah, congratulations. I will say this before we go into boxing. Chiellini and Bonucci.
They've got a lot of chemistry because they've played at Juventus together for so many years. So they know each other so well.
Old school defending. Awesome. It's telepathic. But that is
including the shirt drag on Salah.
Yeah. But even that, if you don't love it, but you understand it, and you understand you have to. You have no choice.
Yeah.
That's something only a 36-year-old man does and knows, because he grabbed them by the neck. We don't see those ones often.
Yeah.
But he knew. Anyway, on to boxing. And seeing as England were very upset this week, we've decided to do boxing's biggest upsets. Paulie, off the top of your head, what can you think of some big upsets?
Right off the jump, Douglas and Mike Tyson comes to play, right?
Yeah,
it's a major upset. Right off the top of my head.
Would you say that's the biggest one you've witnessed? I wasn't old enough to understand how big those odds were at the time when Douglas fought Tyson.
Odds-wise, I think is the biggest one. But for me, I didn't understand odds at that age either. But I just understood the aura of Mike Tyson, being from Brooklyn, being in New York, being in the United States at that time. Tyson was one of the stars in all of entertainment, not just boxing. So he had the video game. When the video games first started getting popular at that time, Nintendo was out, and he had Mike Tyson's Punch Out on the Nintendo Entertainment System. He was a big deal, and even in the video game, if he hit you once, you were knocked out.
It's his game.
It was hard. It was hard to beat him. It was a big shock. It was a big shock at that time, and I think it's still looking back now, it's probably the biggest shock ever. In maybe in all of sports, definitely not in boxing, but there are some others that are shocks.
What about the Rackman Lewis?
Yeah,
that was a big shock.
That was big. Rackman Lewis, a big shock, absolutely. That was also came out of nowhere. I guess the talk was that Lennox Lewis had taken time to film Ocean's 11, and not really taking Rockman seriously.
Yeah.
Whatever the case was, Rockman made him pay for it.
Yeah.
But Lewis got his rematch, and he looked really I remember the rematch. Lewis looked really spectacular in that rematch.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can say Joshua Ruiz as well, right?
Well, that's the one I was definitely gonna say I was there for that, and I could feel honestly the feeling in the crowd was. It was just crazy. I had Ruiz's cousin sitting in a row behind me, and they were making so much noise. And I remember thinking, Josh, please just do this. Do this. They're beginning to just annoy me now. And look, I knew Ruiz was a good fighter because he'd beaten a lot of fighters. He looked good doing it. He's dangerous, but you didn't expect it to happen quite like that.
No, I remember working that fight with Sky Sports, and in the production meetings where we were kind of going to go discuss the show, Ruiz was a replacement opponent for Jermell Miller. Yeah. And everybody with the kind of talk was just everybody like, and how fast was AJ going to get rid of him? Mm-hmm. And I was kind of getting at the point where I was trying to kind of give my opinion in there. Like, I think AJ is going to win the fight, but I don't think Ruiz is the kind of guy that is going to show up just for a check. I know this guy's culture. I've seen him train in the gym. I've worked out with him in the gym. I was at Wildcard Gym when he first turned pro, and he was always a very capable guy. So I was like, I don't know that he's just gonna be a done and around. But I remember Tony Bellew was saying, this is gonna end in one round. AJ is just gonna get rid of him right away or whatever. And I'm like, and I wasn't questioning whether AJ was gonna win the fight. I really felt AJ was gonna win the fight at that time. But I did feel like they kind of were underestimating Ruiz's durability in the fight. Like that. Yeah. And it came out to that point because Ruiz actually got dropped first. Yeah. Ruiz went down first, so his durability was put to the test because he got up and now he had to show that he was not going to be a sitting duck. AJ drops him and it was kind of like the thought was sort of like, okay, now he's going to get rid of him. This was all expected. And then that's when it completely made a 180-degree turn and everything went crazy.
Vladimir Klitschko, Corey Sanders.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah. Vladimir had a couple of offset losses.
He did.
He lost to Ross Purity before that. Then he ends up winning the title and then loses it to Corey Sanders. Very, very interesting. Vladimir, there was a time where Vladimir kind of had to overcome probably some mental obstacles. He was always talented, but he wasn't the most durable guy in there. And the Sanders fight and also the Ross Purity fight before that really had shown that at that part of his career.
I've got two here. Cassius Clay stopping Sonny Liston. That was big. But then there's also Muhammad Ali defeating George Foreman. Obviously, for those who don't know, it's the same person, just with a different name.
Yeah.
It's those are two huge upsets, but I think we don't think of them as much as upsets because of what Ali is and was, the greatest.
Yeah. I think probably you would have had to have lived in the era to understand it better. You always get a better perspective of knowing how much of a badass Sonny Liston was. Yeah. If you were watching his fights in live time, right? Yeah. And then you're getting ready for this young kid named Clay, who's kind of a hot shot, big mouth, and probably it's going to be scary. I think if you can kind of put yourself into that realm of reality, you can kind of sort of give it that feel like, wow, okay, this was a big level of upset, Yeah. And of course, George Foreman was just a bad guy, just knocking everybody out. He had that scowl, He wasn't the fun George Foreman that we see today, Yeah. He had made his hundreds of millions on the Foreman grill either, yeah. So he wasn't as happy. So
he was a monster, man. He literally he could hit you anywhere. He could hit you in your ankle and knock you out.
George could hit you anywhere, even when he was older, but he smiled more. Yeah. But man, at that time, he was hitting you anywhere, and he didn't smile. And he had some really bad knockouts. Like, he was knocking out Frazier, Ken Norton, guys who were tough and durable. So. Yeah. It kind of made it scary for Ali to go into that fight when people thought Ali was sort of finishing, on the downside of his career. So really a terrific performance, a terrific upset there in that fight. It's funny, I saw an interview with George Foreman when he's talking about this fight, and he said Ali was really talking to him in the ring. He was taunting him. He was trying to get him to go, and he's hitting Ali, and he's hitting Ali, and Ali's on the ropes, playing the rope and he's hitting, and then he remembers he falls in with a shot. And he kind of getting tired, so he kind of falls in and he misses it, or maybe grazes Ali, and he kind of falls in on him, and Ali whispers in his ear, "Is that all you got, George?" And George Foreman saying in the interview, he goes, "I remember thinking, yep, that's about it." And then lastly, I think Ken Norton upsetting Ali. People never talk about that.
Yes.
Ken Norton upsetting. Ken Norton stylistically was very, very difficult for Ali. Ali just had a lot of trouble with him, which is why I also give Ali credit to fight him 3 times. Guys, there would be guys that would just stay away from a guy like that. Just a stylistic nightmare for them. And there is a lot of people that think Norton won 2 out of 3 of those fights. But Ali, they got the decision of the third fight at Yankee Stadium. But a lot of people say Norton won that fight. I believe it was the first fight where Norton broke Ali's jaw. So it's that was another rugged guy who came out of nowhere and shocked people in upsetting Ali. So Ali's in the conversation both ways in this subject matter.
It's the reason we love this sport. It's just it's even though we make our predictions, we know it's unpredictable and anything can happen at any time. In the news this week, Wilder vs. Fury has been postponed again. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but I have a slight feeling that the advantage, because of this delay, belongs to Wilder. He has more time to prepare. Maybe hone in on his craft a little bit more, disrupt the camp of Fury. What do you think? What do you think happens?
I disagree.
Do you?
I think Wilder, while the advantage you're talking about there is valid, he has more time to work with a new trainer. It's something they keep in mind. I also think he's gotten himself so up for this. He's chomping at the bits. Fury's under his skin. And if you remember, Fury did this to Vladimir Klitschko as well. He got under his skin. Got the guy ready, got the guy motivated, and all of a sudden he pulled out, And I feel like, I'm not gonna tell you Fury set up having COVID because I'm hearing is about COVID. So I don't know. I'm not gonna go into the huge conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I mean, I might think that myself, but I'm not gonna broadcast it out there. But nonetheless, I think he's got Wilder chomping at the bit, wanting to get at him so bad. And now all of a sudden Wilder has to decline mentally and then lift again mentally. And it's hard to get back to that same place sometimes when you were just revving and chomping at the bits to get there. So for that reason, and I've seen Fury do this before psychologically, the way he did it to Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah. And I feel like it worked. I think Fury's a master of the mind games as well. So for me, I think Fury gets the advantage on that.
In terms of preparation time, if Wilder does use it to prepare, can he improve on anything between now and then? Is he just who he is at this point?
I think he is who he is, but there's always little subtle things you can work on and improve, and they'll probably keep trying to work on those things. Mm-hmm. But again, the anger, the intensity, you've got to kind of tone it down and then bring it back up. You don't want to peak too early. Yeah. Then when you're bringing it down, are you able to summon it back up? Because Wilder is a really emotional guy, so this can play on him. Play on him. I mean, it worked on Vladimir Klitschko, who's not an emotional guy. Yeah. So I feel like, this could really offset a lot of things for him too. But I do think that he can also take a lot of this in a positive and continue to work with his new trainer.
With regards to the delay, I'm actually not sure how much of a delay it's supposed to have. Is it meant to be a few weeks? Is it meant to be a couple of months?
I heard a rumor that it's October.
And it was supposed to be in
July 24th.
It's the biggest jump.
Yeah.
In which case, does Dillian Whyte jump in and take it as a replacement? He is mandatory.
Yeah. But he's a mandatory. But Fury now has a WBC title. So, what does Wilder fight? Would Whyte jump in? And I don't know. If anything, Whyte would be jumping in to fight Fury, but I don't know if Whyte would be jumping in to fight Wilder. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see it. I think they've had their own beefs and whatnot, And I'd like to see it. I think it personally would be entertaining, and I think Dillian deserves a big shot. But I don't know that necessarily happens.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would, just because Dillian Whyte is the one always prepared to take the risk. I'm not sure if Wilder wants to take that risk, especially when he's specifically after that one man. What if Wilder loses? I feel like the bookies and most of the general public believe that Wilder will lose again. Can he rebuild after that, should he lose?
It's a difficult thing to say. I mean, usually a guy in that position, you'd say, yeah, he can. Usually you'd say, he's only got 2 losses, and he still can beat a lot of the top guys. He's beaten a lot of top guys. He should be good. But I don't know where Wilder goes after all the excuses he made. How does he convince himself to just accept this? And is he mentally, is the mental fragility to the point where he's not going to be able to accept this, and then it's going to just kind of spiral downhill? I don't know, but it does cross my mind, because he's made every excuse in the book about why that first fight result was that way. Yeah. And while that, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for him to convince himself that he can win the second fight in any way he needs to. I do think that if he's being in denial and he gets knocked out or he gets beat, and that denial will sort of cause a lot of more mental stress and anguish and fragility.
Sometimes you see it. I remember seeing it with David Price when he fought. Who was the American?
Tony Thompson.
Yes, Tony Thompson beat him twice. And it's just so hard to come back from back-to-back defeats to the same person. Yeah. It almost just puts you down in the dumps. You're in the mud, and there's nowhere really to go.
Yeah, and you've got to do a lot of self-assessment and self-assessing after that, and to see and try to make sure you believe in yourself.
Yeah. Pacquiao versus Spence has been announced. They had their first press conference, and I'm not sure if anyone else sees it, but it looks like Spence is around 3 or 4 weight divisions above him. He looks like a giant compared to Pacquiao.
Yeah. But Pacquiao is, he's always been sort of a smaller guy at these weight classes, so I don't even know that I don't even know that he thinks about that anymore. He's probably been used to. I mean, Margarito always looked like much bigger than him when they fought, and that didn't bother him. So we'll see.
Spencer's obviously saying that he respects Pacquiao's power, but he believes he can stand there toe-to-toe and go with him. Spencer's as big as they come at 147, if I'm honest. So who am I to tell him he can't? But Pacquiao always seems to have just another trick up his sleeve that you don't think he has. He may be getting a little bit older, a little bit slower. But he does have, he stopped Furman, almost stopped Furman. He dropped him, hurt him to the body a couple of times. Mm-hmm. He gave him as much trouble as he could possibly handle. And at the time, Furman was supposed to be the only person that could trouble Spence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Pacquiao obviously has some tricks up his sleeve for this fight, or he wouldn't have took it. There's got to be, Pacquiao, if you're Pacquiao, you can go in a lot of different directions. Yeah. So for him to want to take this fight, obviously legacy and all that does come into it, but at that age, you kind of already built that legacy, Yeah. So for him to want to take this fight, I believe he does see something that he maybe figures he can take advantage of. And I probably think it's the quick feet. Spence is a little bit slow on his feet. Yeah. And I think Pacquiao's feet, maybe Pacquiao feels a sense of something he can take advantage of in that way. Spence is a good jab, a southpaw jab. He tends to control fights with it, so it'll be interesting to see how they both deal with each other.
Pacquiao hasn't fought for 2 years. At this age, does that begin to harm you more than it helps you? He's saying that he's had rest, and because of that, his body hasn't had to go through the wear of tear of 3 camps in the last couple of years or whatever it is. It doesn't affect him that much. Does it affect you more as you get older, not being so busy?
I think it does, yeah. I think it does. I think as you get older, you have to sort of keep your body active, because if you don't keep it active, you're going to wind up becoming more injury prone. So I think it is, but that's just my opinion.
I wonder if that's why Pacquiao is saying that Spence is better than Mayweather, because it has to be. There's no other excuse unless he's just trying to get in his head and make him feed his ego, make him feel relaxed, and maybe make him underestimate him and then jump in there and give him a shock. Because I like Spence. I think Spence is good, but I'm not sure if he's better than Mayweather. I'm not sure whether he's saying he's better than Mayweather now or whether he's better than a prime Mayweather. Also in the news, Haney has agreed a fight verbally, I guess. I guess we won't know until it's actually signed with Jojo Diaz. They seem to be going at it on Twitter. I'm not sure when you can ever take words on Twitter as contracted and signed. But it will be probably the best fight that can be made outside of those fighters in 135 because they don't seem to be fighting each other.
Yeah. I think it's a good fight, and I think it's a good step up for Haney. Because he fought you got to figure at this point you can call Linares a bit shot, a bit past it over the hill, and Jojo's still in a prime age, and he just had a good performance over Javier Fortuna. Yeah. It surprised a lot of people in his performance and the consistency he showed in that fight. So I think Haney and Jojo is a very good fight. It's a good fight.
They say at 135, Haney has, well, I say they say, it's what I kind of hear as a recurrent theme. Haney has the most underrated skill of all of those fighters in that division. Do you agree?
I think he's a skillful fighter, yeah. Now, does that mean he can put it together fully at a high level? We'll see. But I think he has flashes of a lot of skills. Yeah. But it's also because he has to. He doesn't have the power of a Teofimo or Gervonta Davis. We kind of see the power of those guys, and we don't look at so much at the skills. I think Gervonta has a really sharp counterpunching ability, despite all the power he's known for. He's got good speed. I think Teofimo also has good speed, a good overall attack in general, and of course has a lot of power. I think with Haney, we because he doesn't have the power of those guys, we kind of start to look at other things. We pay attention to his skills because obviously if a guy's not getting there with a lot of firepower, he's getting there with his skill set, right? Yeah. So certainly Haney's skill set is probably the bread and butter and everything the what he butters his bread with, essentially. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna go into a power fight or even against a power fighter looking for the power. He's gonna look to dazzle him, use that speed, the angles and whatnot, good legs that he has because he's young. So I think it's a conversation. He's might be the most skillful out of all of them, but I don't necessarily think it's the case. But I do think when it comes to Haney, you're talking only skill set because power wise, people don't talk so much about his power as much as the other guys at the weight class.
Right, predictions. There is one fight this weekend that we're going to be concentrating on, and it is Jermell Charlo against Castano. It's a good fight, and Paulie, I'm going to press you for a round and method.
Points. I got Charlo on points. Castano's a durable guy. He's not going anywhere. He's He's a durable guy. Castano's a durable guy. He's a tough Argentine. He's going to be very proud that Argentina just won the Copa America. Yes. He's going to be he's going to be looking to kind of take that same momentum into this fight. I think Charlo's a bit more too skilled for him, but Castano's a rough guy. He makes fights very rough. I worked this fight with Ruslan De Lara. He's a rugged dude. So, I think Charlo will probably win. I'd say it's on points, and I'd say Castano's going to make. He's gonna let him know he's going to fight.
Do you think there's a seeing as we've been talking about upsets, is there not a small chance of him? Well, not even just a small chance. Is there not a chance of him?
Yeah, no, he's good enough. He's good enough to win, but I think Charlo has the more versatile attack. Yeah, Castano is good enough to win, and he's good enough to make you very uncomfortable in there.
I am going to go with a majority decision Charlo win. I think it's going to be close. Yeah. He hasn't got as much experience as Charlo, but he is as tough as they come, and I think he makes fighters. He makes them uncomfortable. He really does. So it'll be intriguing.
He challenges you mentally too. Yeah. He's rough and he's rugged. He's kind of be kind of dirty. He can hit a little bit. And he's not going anywhere. I think it's an entertaining fight. Yeah. Also on the weekend, we had Zurdo Ramirez in the win column. He's fighting with Golden Boy Promotions now. They're moving him well. Solid win. he's a big guy. He's a big guy, light heavyweight, and he's a guy who I think can still make fun fights as we see. And I'd still love to see him with the other guys in the weight class. Sometimes he's kind of a forgotten guy because he maybe the contract issues he had with Top Rank, and now he broke up as a Golden Boy. But I'd love to not only mention him in the conversations with guys like Beterbiev, or guys like even Canelo. If Canelo says he's coming up to fight Beterbiev, I guess now because of the breakup with Canelo and Golden Boy and the whole beef with De La Hoya, maybe he probably wouldn't fight Zurdo. But really, if you're going to go up to light heavyweight, the Zurdo fight would probably make a lot of sense because it's Mexican against Mexican, and again, you give those kind of fireworks to the fight. Those kind of be no frills. It'll be all dynamite. So he looked good. He won. Credit also to Julian Chua. Julian Chua, as trainer, is probably one of the best young trainers in boxing. I know Julian from when I was in LA living, and he was a boxer at that time. He was an amateur boxer at that time. Young guy, younger than me. But he's working with some top guys now. He's worked with Zurdo Ramirez. Also works with Marvin Vettori, who just fought for the title in the UFC against Adriel Adesanya. Good young trainer, really up on the up and up. And also on that card we had Sinisa Estrada. I can't remember the name of her opponent. Her opponent was an Asian girl, a real tough fighter from Asia, either Japan or China. But there was a good give and take fight. Sinisa is younger. She had the energy, combination punching, just the youthful excitement that won her the fight. But this girl had fought at higher weight classes and it just kept coming and coming and coming. It's hard to keep somebody off you when they've been bigger and they just keep walking you down. But it's also hard to fight the temptation to punch yourself out, because that's the thing is somebody will keep walking you down. You'll run the risk of punching yourself out, trying to punch them off of you. But credit to Estrada, she fought a very good tactical fight. She did throw a lot of punches. She's got a lot of energy. Obviously, she trains hard, very well conditioned. But she also makes it exciting, So when we talk about female boxers, Estrada's one of the best of the bunch in this generation, and definitely a fun one to watch. And of course, a special mention to Conor McGregor losing his sixth fight for the sixth time in 7 fights. And I don't know how I had a feeling he was going to do this. I don't know how we still have conversations about this guy fighting, main eventing. It's the state of your sport when the face of your sport is a guy who's lost 6 out of 7 fights. You've got to start to question the state of your sport. Sorry, MMA fans. Sorry, MMA folks. I had to say it. Okay, when the poster child of your sport is also the poster child for taking L's, we've got a problem.
Before we go, we have a special guest on this episode. It is the commercial director, I just about got that out, Simon Harris, from our sponsor, the Turmeric Co. Thanks for joining us, Simon. Tell us more about these wonderful products. First of all, how do they help boxers?
Thank you very much for having me on. We're big fans of the show, actually. And a lot of the stuff you guys have been saying, every time you drop a little mention of the shots, you're saying the right things. So the stuff you're saying, it's really spot on. And it sounds, every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah. Hopefully people at home are kind of listening and just realizing that the power of a natural anti-inflammatory, let's say, is good for everybody. It's good for boxers. We work with a number of pro boxers, ex-pro boxers, and we didn't design the product for that reason, but we designed it for an overall health wellness drink. But it's all natural ingredients. Any level of inflammation in your body is going to be a bad thing. If you're recovering from injury, you'll know that straight away. You want to recover faster. You want to reduce the inflammation, let your body heal itself. So from a boxer's point of view, it's speed of recovery between workouts. It's immune system, so your immune health. You can't really afford to get sick in a fight camp, so you want to make sure you're always on top of your health, and that's where the shots come in. Every ingredient in there is designed for a reason. So we want to give you kind of the best of all of those ingredients. If you've got a kind of a natural anti-inflammatory in your system, you're going to recover quicker. Your immunity is going to be strong.
With regards to the flavorings, the one I've got right here is the raw turmeric and ginger, and then there's one with beetroot, and I think there's just the turmeric, if I'm right, as well. Is there more? Have I missed any?
We've got a couple of new products coming out soon, but for the moment, it's the range of 3. But flavor-wise, didn't really come into it initially. So the original formula is that ginger shot, that one that you got there. So
Yes.
raw turmeric and ginger were ingredients we needed to have in our system. So, I mean, we've been making this for 15 years as kind of like a family-run business, but we didn't launch until 2018. The idea behind the product was the company founder, Hal Robson-Kanu, is a professional footballer. He suffered a couple knee injuries, ACL injuries when he was a teenager that, you know, from a doctor's point of view, would have wiped out his career completely. He had to have surgery twice within a year. He was on the recovery table for 2 years, and he needed a natural formula away from, you know, the prescribed medication that could get him to recover quicker. So it was like, we did our research. Turmeric kept coming up in research. Ginger kept coming up in research. And then other ingredients. I mean, pineapple is a good anti-inflammatory because of the bromelain. Watermelon is good for hydration. Pomegranate is good for antioxidant. And then we increase bioavailability so your body can absorb it using a touch of flax oil and raw piperine, which is black pepper. So we kind of understood how to get the most out of these ingredients. And then over the years, it was a matter of, let's make it taste better. You know, let's make it taste good. So actually Hal can drink it every day without problem. He doesn't have to have the medication. And then, you know, he's had a very successful career, injury-free as well, to Euro 2016 success for Wales, and, you know, in the Premier League last season with West Brom.
All down to turmeric. Imagine that. I didn't know. Well, I guess you kind of answered it, because the question I was going to ask you is, where did this begin? You know, where was it founded, and when was it created? But it's 15 years in the making. Yeah,
it was cooked up in the kitchen, you know, born out of necessity is what we always say. It wasn't we wanted to make a product and sell it. It was, let's make a product to keep Hal on the football pitch. You know, it was as simple as that. There was no interest in kind of idea to sell it at the time. And 2018 was the first time we had the idea. And it was really because turmeric became a big fad. It became a really, really trendy ingredient. And there was knowledge of it, but from what we could see, no one was doing it correctly. So no one was they weren't using the organic root. They were using powder, or they were using kind of cheap substitutes, you know, like a turmeric latte.
That's exactly what I like about it, is if it has a natural feel to it. You know, you're not just popping pills into your mouth. You know, like you get these turmeric pills, and I'm not saying that they're not effective. I wouldn't know the difference, but I feel like when you're drinking a little juice shot, it feels like you're getting it directly from nature. You know, you get this natural feel for you, and it doesn't feel like, I don't know, when I take vitamins and pills, and I do, but they have that laboratory feel to them. When you get this juice shot like this, you know, plus I like spicy stuff anyway, so the ginger tastes good. But nonetheless, it gives you a more natural feel. You feel like you just have this, from a psychological perspective, like you feel like it's better for you.
Yeah, and that's 100% it. I mean, when we started, we were like, there was capsules on the market then, but it was like, okay, what are these capsules made of? Why wouldn't we go to the source of the root? You know, it's like, you want to use turmeric, why would you use a supplement? You want to eat broccoli, or you want to have protein. You don't always go for the supplement. You're going to go for the natural foods first. A dietitian would always recommend food first. So that's what we did. It was like, okay, let's get the most out of these ingredients by going straight to the source of them.
Well, with all that being said, I'm guessing we should try one. I've got one right here on the table in front of me. Paulie, you've left yours at your other house.
But I'm drinking.
And... oh, you've got one right there, Simon. Of course you do. Yes.
I've been starting my mornings with it every morning.
That's good to hear. And what do you think of the taste?
I like the taste. I like the ginger was actually my favorite because it has the spiciest taste. The beetroot is a little spicy too. The regular one is the least spicy. My girl steals some of those. She doesn't like spicy, so she steals some of those. But I like the spicy ones. So ginger is my favorite one.
Yeah, I would say the regular one is the only one where we put some thought into the taste. And what we did was we removed the ginger from the recipe, because we kind of knew that not everyone can go down that route, and not everyone likes the spice. So the original recipe would have been the ginger. Once we launched on the market, we were like, okay, not everyone's going to want that. Let's take it out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Beetroot was a new addition to the range. Beetroot, really good for oxygenating your blood. Yeah. The nitrates in there, that's endurance. So I would recommend a beetroot shot before any workout. Yeah. We've got some of the GB athletes taking those to Tokyo with them. Nice. You know, that's a really popular one for athletes.
Beautiful.
The proof's in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. It looks like it. Bottom line, these are elite athletes taking it because it helps them. So get out there and get some of these, guys. It doesn't get any simpler than that. It's good for you. Anything else you wanna say about it? You may as well sell it whilst you're here. I feel like you've done everything there is to do.
Turmeric.co.
The Turmeric Co. We're UK-based company. All the ingredients are natural. It's available in Whole Foods, Planet Organic, a couple stores, David Lloyd gyms, but online is the best place to get it. There's not really anything like it on the market. That's why we launched. That's why we brought it to the UK market. Because there's a lack of good quality natural products. I mean, it's hard for any small company to just bring out a product that works and put it in the shelves because the market is dominated by big companies that kind of take up all the shelf space available in like a supermarket or whatever. So we're doing what we can. The business is slowly growing. It's getting some good awareness now. There's more understanding around health at the moment. So it's a real good time for a brand like us and others that are doing similar things to kind of launch their products and make some noise.
Thanks for joining us, Simon. It was great having you on. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe. And before we go, we'd like to send our condolences to the Eubank family after the loss of Seb Eubank this week. Top fighter, top guy, and our thoughts are with you all.